Good morning, everyone out in Warrior World. Welcome to Breakfast with Sandy today, November 20th. Wanted to come to you today with a training aspect. Today we have Train the Trainer. Our very own Kevin Hill will be facilitating a one-day Train the Trainer. And what is Train the Trainer? Train the Trainer basically is an entire training class built on how to train your leadership team. Oftentimes, we just got back from Houston, Texas, another successful service business live. Welcome to our new members. No guarantee that there won't be many more in the next coming week, but the ones that have entered our world are getting ready to embark on our onboarding. So I come from it as an accountability. How do we take those 2 days that we just spent with them and create stickiness? How do we say, we just trained you 2 days on how to better run your business? These are our expectations from what you leave the room with, and what are you going to do next? So, as someone who's been in trainings my entire career, I oftentimes walked out of training, got tons of information out of it, information overload, notes galore, and then went home and threw the book in a room and never to look at it again. There was no one holding me accountable, not even myself at the time. I've gone to some trainings where, I picked two things out that I wanted to learn and then implemented them immediately. So what's right for you? How do we hold you accountable? How are you coming to CEO Warrior training and getting the most out of it? How do we maximize the training? And most importantly, how do we train others on our team to be able to accept that leadership position where we're going out and making sure that we are also training our teams, and that way it relieves us of some pressure. Because I do believe that everyone on your team should have the capacity to train others. And oftentimes we take someone that we believe is the best, maybe in the field or the best person on the staff, and we stick them because they know their role really well. We have an assumption that they're going to be able to be effective training their team, but not without some kind of formula of leadership training. 2 weeks ago, we had leadership training, which was amazing. We just had a room full of high participation and people playing full out, wanting to learn more, become better leaders, become better trainers, become better employees, working on culture. And I think that a cohesive culture comes from training. And we always talk about onboarding process. Obviously, that is the originator of training. And when I look at some of the business owners, they're not quite sure on how to train. They're not sure. They've just done something for so long that they show people their way. And oftentimes we all learn differently. So, how do we create an environment where everyone is learning? Because, again, we all learn differently. And I'll go into that a little bit more. But we have to understand the whole client journey, and that is exactly what our employees need to do. Oftentimes, employees are very myopic in their thinking. They come in, they're doing their job, they're on their own path. They are not understanding how their role fits in with the entire organization. And that's deadly. That's deadly because we don't understand or appreciate anyone else's job. You guys hear me week after week talk about cross training, and we'll go into a little more of the development there as well. But where is your client journey? How is that client experience mapped out? When someone comes into your organization, possibly they've had prior knowledge of the industry. So they could come in with bad habits, coming in with how another company did something. But your way is your way. That's your competitive advantage. So why would we not want to train to your competitive advantage? So as an owner or as a key employee, critical manager, you need to lay out a foundation of what does that client journey look like so that your people can adhere to it, right? Those are the expectations that we need to set. And how often are we training? What are we training for, and what's the outcome that we're looking to receive? You can't expect that someone comes into your organization and they spend 2 weeks training and they're going to retain all that knowledge. We have to keep reinforcing it over and over and over again. That is the mother of all learning, right? It's not about doing 10,000 things. It's about doing a couple things 10,000 times. That's how we create mastery. So when people come into our training facility, we have a very well formulated training process. We walk them through a very clear agenda. Do we go off the rails sometimes? Yeah, because we're training people. We're training human people that have different styles of learning. And some of it sinks in. There's a lot of aha moments, but for others, it takes a little bit longer. Maybe some are new to the industry. Possibly they have been taught differently. So changing people's perception and changing how they view different industry standards is going to be their own journey, right? So we have to really understand what's going to make it stick for them. Keeping employees engaged is what we all strive for, because if we don't have engaged employees and we have creative employees who check out and we wonder why they leave our organization, and many times it's just they don't feel valued, and training is a way to make people feel valued because you are helping them to become better, right? So if I, as a business owner, are always looking for advanced trainings, how do we get them indoctrinated into our company through our training process? And I think that's just one of the most important things that we can do for our employees, because the better trained they are, the more that they are going to believe in their position. They're going to see their career path with you. They're going to feel valued, they're going to feel understood, and they're going to feel as if they're moving up the ladder because they have now abilities that they didn't have when they walked in the door to your company. So never mind what has happened for them in the past, but what is it going to be look like on their journey with you as an employee? So we're looking at setting our employees up with a plan. If you're sending your employees to any type of our training, we would expect that you have a pre-training meeting. What are you going to learn? What is it going to look like? How are you going to come back and implement those trainings? They should think about 5 things that they want to learn coming to a 2 or 3, well, one, some of them are even one day. What are they going to take away from it? Oftentimes they come in very blind and they don't know what they're going to be learning. So they're not ready. They haven't thought about, well, what am I missing? What do I need to learn? If we don't have that client journey mapped out, we don't really know what we're missing or what we need to learn, because we don't know what we don't know. So we have to create that. And that's through the employee engagement. And I find that the ones who come in our room saying, I wanted to come to training, here's where I feel that I'm weak in certain areas that I would like to be able to gain the knowledge to become a better employee, or even definitely a better leader, is through X, Y, and Z. This is what I'm looking to learn. How can you help me? So when someone comes in the room, we always ask them, what do you want to learn? What are you looking to learn, and what are you looking to take away out of this training? And by the end, sometimes it's completely different than what they even walked in with, because they didn't know all of what we have to offer. Now, we define the expectations right from the get. Then we also debrief the training at the end. All along the way, we're asking for feedback. We're asking for shares. We're having them map out their own plans so that they go home and now they know how to implement the training. They know how to implement the top 3 things that they have learned by spending the time with us. Now, if I had your employees on my team, I would want them to come in and debrief me. What did you learn? What were your takeaways? How can you help others in the organization learn what you just spent the last couple days learning? So have them facilitate a training to your team. See what their retention level is of the training. And then always ask for more clarity. Have them understand how this aligns with your values and your company vision. You're not just sending people to training so they can come out and hang out with us for 3 days. Not that that's not fun, but you're looking for them to up level as an employee. You're looking for them to get those special little nuggets that they can take away and getting that competitive advantage. So types of training. We're really big on participation. We're big on role play, right? We may have a well-structured training, but we're really big on role play. And today, Kevin is training on how to facilitate a proper training by engaging the entire group, the entire audience. If any of you have ever been in one of my trainings, you know that I speak a lot about neurolinguistic practicing from a level of everyone learns differently, because we all have different perceptions of reality. We all think differently. We all buy differently. So some of us are highly visual. Some of us want to touch something, so we need the workbook in front of us. We use slides in our presentations, right? We want you to be highly engaged. This isn't about throwing content at you. This is about engagement, and learning styles matter. So some of us are just auditory. We are listening. We're taking it all in. That's our learning style. Some of us need some external validation from maybe prior members or current members, especially in like a service business live. It's always great to hear someone else's journey and how training was, worked for them. We are a training organization. We also help you to implement. We guide you. We support you. And we hold you accountable, most importantly. So each month, we're going to follow up every single training with a phone call. Every training of ours also has a phone call attached to it every month. We don't want to just leave you out to dry. So we want to make sure that you're utilizing these trainings, you're implementing them, you're helping to train others on what you've learned, and you're creating consistency in your organization with that training process. Again, you're always getting feedback. Make training fun. Don't make it so structured that it's redundant week after week and we know what to expect. Our brain won't accept it, right? We need to make sure that we're engaging everyone in the room. Oftentimes trainings are early in the morning. Some of you guys are half asleep when you enter the training. I've been to many, many rooms of your training, and we have to make sure that we're using a highly participatory environment so that we're listening to what you're saying. I can sit here all day long and throw content at you, but if you're not showing me that you're learning, then I'm just making assumptions. So that's why I'm big on having others do the training. That also goes for onboarding. If you want to create a really great onboarding system with cross-training in your organization, then make everyone in their department put together their standard operating procedures and have them come into a classroom facility and train. Understand how the wheel goes round and round. And one person training the whole time, it becomes monotonous. So different personality types and different styles of training. It helps to keep people awake, engaged. If they're just sitting there listening to you talk for, an hour, 2 hours, some of our trainings are lasting, 8 hours, then we'd bore the hell out of you. So you're going to do the same to your employees if you don't keep them engaged with other layers, right? So one of the things I look at as well is I always ask the question, what questions are you guys getting the most phone calls about? What are the largest obstacles in your organization that you're finding in each department? If it's sales, where are the callbacks coming from on installations and service, right, in that department? And create a training based on what you're hearing as feedback, whether it's client feedback, internal feedback. Ask your CSRs, ask your dispatchers. We should be listening to phone calls. We have different capabilities now to be able to listen to every incoming phone call, outgoing. How often are you taking the time to listen to your employees and being able to help guide and support them through maybe something that the CSR wasn't able to book? What are we doing to be able to help them create a better process when it comes to booking a call? Are we listening to feedback when a service expert is in a home doing an in-home consultation? How are we training them to become better? What information are you asking for them to bring back to you so you can create a better process? For us, Sales Warrior, Road Warrior, the entire concept is about an 8-step process of training, consultation. And it is training. Week 1 is going to be step 1. Week 2, step 2. And then when you finish it, start again. Because there's always something to learn. We've had people attend 7, some of them 10 service business lives, which is our 2-day training, intensive training. And every time they're taking notes, every time they're getting something different out of it. Because your expectation for yourself in that training is different every time. And our brains only have so much capacity until we're just like, poof, that's enough. We need to go to the next. We're done. We hear it often at the end of our day when people are like, I am spent. No more. I can't think anymore. I just want to relax and get myself to a point where I can come down from all of that knowledge base. And that's why it's so important to pick out 3 to 5 things that you're going to take away from every training, because you're not going to learn it all. It's impossible for us to have that kind of retention. When you're starting some kind of training program, have a baseline so we understand where their performance is now, and then where are the room for improvements. Have your employee understand also, because their perception of what they're capable of or their capabilities is going to be different than yours, but they are your expectations, and everyone learns at a different pace and a different rate. So we have to be able to set out those KPIs for them during our baseline training so that they're growing incrementally, and everyone's growth is going to be on a different trajectory. Never assume that your team knows your expectations. Never assume that they retained everything from onboarding, and never assume they know what everyone in your organization actually does. That's why scorecards are important, and we should all be understanding by sitting with other departments. I don't care if your CSRs or dispatch have to go on the road with a service expert, or your service experts should be sitting in with your CSRs, listening to what their day is like, listening to how they set an agenda for your service experts, and seeing with dispatch. How are other members debriefing? How are we using the job board, right? How are we looking at the job board to fill it? How are our outbounding team creating opportunities within the organization? Critical. It even could come down to watching someone in accounts receivable collect money that your service experts fail to collect on the job. And that's just sometimes they don't have a process for collecting. Sometimes it's because they didn't understand how to ask for money. Sometimes they have these money blocks that won't allow them to understand that we just rendered a service and now money is due. And there are a lot of you out there that don't collect on every job. Oh, that's Mrs. Smith. She always pays. I'm not worrying about her right now. So how do we understand that the AR is collected on their cash flow? How does that look for them? They don't need to know every detail and nuance of your company, but what they need to understand is the flow of the organization. When we're all rowing the boat in the same direction and we have clarity on what each position is responsible for, then we can have complete alignment throughout the organization. We're all there for an outcome, and the outcome is for a satisfied client that returns again and again and again. This isn't transactional, it's a relationship-based business. You are a service-based business, so everyone should be adhering to that. So today, November 20th, Train the Trainer in it's actually virtual. I almost said in our headquarters, but it's virtual. And again, we're going to be offering that class on March 21st, I believe, for our Warrior members. The last thing I'd like to mention is we are having a membership boot camp. The membership boot camp is going to be about you creating a win-win situation for yourselves as a company and also for the clients that you serve. How does that look? Do you need to enhance it? How many members are taking advantage of your membership? What are their offerings? How can we create clients for life? I call them raving fans. And also, what are we looking at as a revenue-based model for a membership? And lastly, how do we get our service experts to be able to speak about our membership out in the field, as well as our CSRs, and for people to understand the value of becoming a platinum member with your organization? Again, it's all about competitive advantage. Everything we talk about is how do we compete in a market that's saturated, that is all based on the same products. It's all about your service and how we bring our clients into our world and how we treat them once they're here. So everybody have a fantastic Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks. Bye.